Hey guys, it's me, your buddy Gabe Beltape. It is Thursday. I want to say Wednesday, Thursday, February 3rd. I'm very, very excited today. We're going to be talking about a great new book, Giant Size Two-Fisted Manly Tales by the great Graham Nolan. I really took a shine to him when I joined Comicsgate back in like October. We started chatting privately and this and that. He's a great role model for me, a really good all-around guy. So I want to welcome Graham to the show because I want to get rolling. I have all kinds of things to ask him about manliness and macho-ness, and we're not making fun. We're celebrating it and having a good time with our masculinity. How you doing today, my good friend Graham?
What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm doing excellent. I've got a bunch of guys in my backyard tearing down trees and stuff like that, and we're redoing the backyard. So it's
I saw the picture of you next to the pepper tree stump.
Oh yeah, you saw that picture of me. That's right.
That's a lot of work.
We had this horrible pepper tree that was like 30 feet tall, and I got some of my Mexican brothers working in the backyard, and they are just tearing everything up. It's awesome. So how are things out there in the frozen north?
We got snow again today.
All right.
I was down to asphalt in my driveway yesterday, and then I wake up this morning and I got another couple inches of snow over the top of it. So, hey, it's Buffalo. It's February. So what do you expect? Mother trucker.
San Diego, blue skies, 62.
Damn.
Beginning of February. So, hey, but we pay for it to live here, baby. So let me check on the chat, and then we're gonna get to some manliness. But everybody's here. Hervoye's here. Our great mod, Angela Curry's here. Fan Friction One, Past Master Dan, who I thought at first was Pasta Master Dan. Oh, we got a super chat. Let me $5. Thank you so much for the generosity. You got my two fave dudes on. Graham and I have a similar background inspiration. I always gravitated towards cartoonists. Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon.
Yeah, I don't know when Chuck will be coming in. We have our group chat on Facebook. He may or may not arrive. I'm sorry if that disappoints any of you, but we were talking, but that was unclear to me. I think he's coming.
Chuck is like the third ghost in a Christmas carol. You know, he's the mercurial one.
Right.
Who shows up in his own good time.
Right. So if he's here, he's here. And if he's not, well, then blame me. Don't blame him. Tippy Tail McKitty got their Dale known Cyberfrog cards. Very exciting. I talked to Dale too. I'm going to have him on next week. That's gonna blow 13-year-old me's brains out. Is telling 13-year-old me, you're friends with Dale Keown now. So I remember walking down the train tracks from the comic book store looking at Pitt, and I couldn't believe what I was looking at. So let me remove this from here. I'll remove that video and remove that video because StreamYard has already crashed twice when I was doing this. But I'm so I'm not on Wi-Fi. I wired in my computer. But let's jump over here to Giant Size Two-Fisted Manly Tales. Do you want to give us a brief rundown of what this book is about?
Yeah, this book is a celebration of what has become known in the media as toxic masculinity. There's been a hard push over the last 30 years to emasculate men. And you'll see it in television commercials. You'll see it in other forms of media where the guys are either soy boys or they're made fun of by their children. Right. Or the wives of the know-it-alls. You know, now look at any car commercial. It's the woman that's driving the car. How far away from reality is that? You know,
right.
You know, so you know, I got the idea that I needed to do something. And this project kind of like I shoehorned it in because it wasn't part of my original publishing schedule. Because I'm doing my Nolan verse, monster, sci-fi, supernatural type stuff. But this one I felt was so important, and I reached out to Chuck and Bo and Kevin and Mike Barron, and I floated the idea. What do you think about doing this anthology book? And they all said they were in, and so I said, okay, that's the next thing on the schedule. So as soon as Alien Alamo started fulfilling, I decided we'll launch this one, and then my third Nolan verse book will launch after this.
Very cool. Yeah, and for those of you wondering about quality and stuff, I just got Alien Alamo. I think I have it right down here. Yeah, I just got it about a week or two ago. So Graham fulfilled when he said he would fulfill, and it's top notch. It's quality. I won't spoil anything, but that ending, beautiful ending, emotional, wonderful, and you earned it with the writing. So Graham isn't just a great illustrator. He's let me make that a little bit bigger. Graham is not just a great illustrator, not just a fantastic co-creator of Bane. he's a good writer. He's a very good writer. So I really enjoyed checking this
Appreciate
out,
that.
man. Yeah.
Much appreciated.
Yeah. Well, okay. Should I play this trailer here? Will this trailer help things out, or will it make things worse?
Well, this is a this trailer is just kind of a position trailer. I've got my guy working on the final one, which will go up probably next week. But it's very short. It's like 20 seconds. It'll fill you in everything you need to know.
Let's check this out really quick here. Now, one thing I haven't figured out is how to play this on my second screen and make it kind of big. So it's going to be a little small, but you'll be able to hear it. Well, it looks cool, and the musical selection is awesome. I'm going to check out two things in the chat here if you want to address them. Hervoye asks, how come this doesn't have a digital tier? Do you want to address that? Or is that something for later?
This specifically doesn't have a digital tier because this is a book that we're trying to get to the point where it becomes a hardcover, so it needs to be on a bookshelf.
Okay.
I don't want a digital tier for this. I've done digital tiers for the other two projects, and I'll probably do one for the third one. But this is a bookshelf book, and I don't want it watered down with a digital copies out there.
Okay. Now, what about says, I feel extra manly now after watching that trailer. I want to, keep it light and have fun here, but I want to ask a serious question. Masculinity, it's important to all of us. It's what's built everything we have. How was it taught to you as a child? What do you remember about maybe your father, your brother, your uncles? Who was your masculine example to you, and how did they teach it to you, affect you, encourage you? I know my story, but what's your beginnings with masculinity and your own identity, Graham? How did that start?
It started with my father. He was a Irish New York homicide detective.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, but he was a college educated guy. He loved movies. He introduced me to John Wayne movies and World War II things. And, I sort of looked up to him as my role model. Like everybody, he had some faults, had some demons. But all in all, he was the guy that, pointed me in the right direction. Then, of course, I had coaches. I had wrestling coaches. I had, teachers that were mentors too. I had a teacher who looked like Mr. Magoo. To look at him, you wouldn't think he was a manly guy, but he was a World War II vet and a bomber. And he was a tough little guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I think, did you ever have moments where you were a little guy, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, and you come up against something hard, some chores or some problem, and you're crying, but your dad or your grandpa or whoever this man is in your life specifically, they're telling you it's going to be okay, you can do it, you're tough. Do you remember those moments and how important they are? Because I do. But can you think of anyone like that, any moment where you're...
Oh, absolutely. I remember I was whining about something, and my dad said, for Christ's sake, get some crust on you. I never forgot that.
Okay. So, the whole gender thing is insane nowadays. The narrative and the discussion around it is crazy. So you can't have masculinity without femininity. How do you think those two things best work together? How does masculinity, how is it informed by femininity, and how do they work, like sort of the yin and the yang kind of idea? What do you think?
That's a great question. And the answer is by celebrating the differences and understanding them. What they want you to do is to accept women for what they are and who they are. But what they don't want you to do is be able to accept men for who they are.
Right.
Yes. Okay. Sometimes we get caught looking, at a beautiful woman that's walking by. But something we're hardwired for certain things.
Right.
It doesn't mean anything in a relationship sense. It's just, you're just like, oh, that's a beautiful woman right there.
Right.
And they castigate you for that. You're a troglodyte. Right. You're a Cro-Magnon.
Oh, their favorite word is creepy.
Yeah.
If you think women are beautiful, you're somehow creepy.
Right. Right. And yet we're
that.
absolutely hardwired through millions of years of genetics. So I think that the trick is to celebrate both sides, and accept the differences, because that's what makes the world go round. It's that unity of men and women together that make great relationships. I mean, I've been
Right.
married for 36 years. I
Right.
raised 3 daughters,
Oh
and
man.
so I understand the feminine side and perspective of things. They don't always agree with me, but I'm also not going to back down from what I think is right.
Right. And I know women in their nature, what I found is they will submit and they will, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but they will follow men if the men demonstrate leadership and competence.
Yes, and they want that.
Right.
They
Absolutely.
want
They will.
protection. They want to feel safe. Even the most independent woman,
Yeah.
walking down a dark alley in a big city in a bad part of town, is
Yeah.
going to want to have a strong man who is confident in his own abilities to be with them.
Right. So I know physical fitness is a big part of your life. It's a big part of mine. I lift weights 4 times a day. You do too. You've been a lifter and you were a wrestler when you're young. I was a football player and coach. And you're saying we're hardwired for this. I look at a woman, she's beautiful. That's not my fault. I'm hardwired. But I think the line for masculinity, and you tell me if you think I'm wrong here. I think one of the defining, most important characteristics of a man is emotional regulation, stoicism. Like, it's okay if I think that woman is sexy and I see her. But if I got my wife on my arm and I stare at that woman for 2, 3, 4 minutes, then I'm an asshole.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
can't blame it on my wiring. I need to regulate my emotions. Like, yes, I see her, she's attractive. Okay, now I'm going to go look at
Right.
something else because,
Right.
So emotional
Absolutely.
regulation, it's feeling one thing, but I don't listen to it if it's wrong. Do you think that's masculine?
Yeah, absolutely. It's about control.
Right. So what is a way that you apply that in your life? And let's say in your trade, in your art, how do you apply emotional regulation to that?
I don't. I let it all hang out.
Let me check this right here from Mythic Punisher says, I grew up in farms when I was a kid. Doing chores on a farm will toughen you up. That's true.
Yeah, that's
Did you
hard
grow up
work,
with a
man.
lot of getting your fingers dirty and getting cut and bruised? Did you grow up with physical labor?
Not like that. I didn't grow up on a farm. I grew up in regular old neighborhoods.
Okay.
But I had to do my fair share of work. I had to cut the grass. I had to help get trees down.
Right.
Trimming, painting houses. A million different chores and stuff. Cleaning the pool. Whatever.
Right. So, I mean, you're a little older than me, not much, but what, like about 15 years older than me. So I've seen it kind of the way it is, the female dominated society. I remember in kindergarten, the girl had a t-shirt with a cartoon girl and boy on it. And it said, anything you can do, I can do better. The girl was telling the boy. So I grew up like post feminism of the 60s. And this, single mothers and men are idiots. Every man is Homer Simpson or Archie Bunker. But you're a little older. So I think you got to see it change,
Yeah, I
right?
did.
You did get to see it from Father Knows Best and My Three Sons and all
Mhm.
that stuff where the dad is an important person to Homer Simpson is a blubbering idiot who can barely find his keys. What do you think triggered that? What do you think gave that momentum in our society to pathologize masculinity?
Well, I really don't know the answer to that. But when I did notice, it was in the early 1990s when my daughters were babies and we're watching TV shows and
Oh,
commercials and all that. Because prior to that, I didn't watch any of that kind of crap, But
right.
you're watching to regulate what they're watching, and you start seeing these things, and that's when I really started to notice it. So I would say it was around the 1990s.
Hmm.
Um, I would suggest that it was a certain amount of that. Um, uh, Over the top uh, what's her name? What's that woman who was who worked for Cosmo and wrote all those articles about feminine?
I don't know. I'm a little younger, so I
Ah,
wouldn't have known
God,
the
I can't
journalist.
remember her name.
That's okay though. So she was some
Yeah,
harpy that was just trashing men, huh?
yeah, and that's sort of I think how it started.
I see. Okay. Yeah, I don't know because I wasn't there, but when I look back on it historically, I think it's legalizing no fault divorce in the late 50s or whatever. And you were a young man in the 70s when I've heard and read the statistics that divorce just exploded in the late 60s and 70s. And I think the destruction of the family and children growing up without fathers. How can my mother teach me how to be a man? She's never lived 1 second as a man. You know what I mean? So growing up, I didn't grow up with my dad around really. My parents divorced when I was 8. So that's why my grandfather's like just priceless to me. You know, he was a good man, you know, born in 1918, dropped out of school in 3rd grade to help his family in the Great Depression, fought in World War II, all this stuff, put up with actual racism against Mexicans, there's not racism anymore, not like what he told me. But you know what he told me when I was young about that? He said, you know, there are racist white people, sure. He said, but if it wasn't for the good ones, we wouldn't be anything. He worked on this lady's farm there in northern Colorado for years, like 15 years. He did all kinds of stuff for her. And when he needed a business loan to open his restaurant and he needed a home loan, she called up the bank and said, you give Tim Duran whatever he wants. And he made a point to me to never feel victimized and to never feel this stupid identity politics stuff that, oh, all white people are racist and all men are sexist. He disabused me of any of that stuff that the media was going to try and brainwash me with. He's the greatest man I ever knew. I really hope I honor him by doing what I do. But okay, so we got a little deep there on masculinity and this and that.
It was Gloria Steinem, by the way. Thank you.
There you go. I do know that name. I do.
And the other one is Helen Gurley Brown. Thank you, Frankie. Also nailed both those. So thank you for filling in the holes in my.
Is Helen Gurley Brown? Is she the one that wrote "Sex and the Single Girl" or whatever? I believe that was a book from the 60s or the 70s. I think so. I don't know. I've heard of that book, and I think it's pretty destructive for women. So So let me ask you this: so you grow up. You not grow up. You're a father now, and your daughters are growing up in what, the 80s or the 90s? Are they a little bit younger or older? Or
they grew up in the 90s.
Okay, so they grew up when I grew up.
They were born in the 90s.
You're trying to push back the ocean of girl boss and I don't need no man and men ain't shit. You're trying to push back the ocean on that. And you don't have to answer any of this if you don't want to, because it's very personal for your family. What was that like, if you want to answer, as a father, to push back on that stuff, to make sure your daughters understood masculinity was good and femininity was a beautiful thing? Was that a big challenge for you?
No, because I didn't believe in pushing. I believed in leading by example. How I behaved and how I interacted with them is going to be the blueprint for how they see men in the future when they become older. So when they were young children, you know, how I behaved, how I treated their mother, how I behaved with other women that I would come in contact with, I think would go a lot further than trying to, go to battle over every little thing.
Okay. Yeah, I see that. Okay. And the way my family pushed back against it was basically shielding us from media. You know, we didn't have cable TV. We didn't go to the movies and all that. We went to church and we worked, we did our chores. And then my mom's mantra to us was, go be creative, go outside, go play, go draw, go color, make a model. It was always creativity. And I think that's a big part of why I do what I do for a living, is creativity was pushed and pushed and pushed. Is your father still around?
No, he passed in 2004.
2004. I'm sorry to hear that. But when you think of him and what he just said to you and what he taught you, could you distill it down for the people watching? Like, what if you had to pick one concept or idea that he taught you about being a man that maybe rings in your mind, what would that be? And I know that's a big question. Maybe it's too much to answer.
Yeah, I don't know if I have an answer for that. My dad was a complex man. He was full of contradictions. So for me, I had to cherry pick.
Okay.
The things that I felt were important, and we talked about leading by example. Well, when you lead by example, you also show, whether you mean to or not, the wrong way to do things.
Right. That's true. That's true. And you go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, so that's the other side of learning from not what they're doing, but what you should not do.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Mistakes or failure or flaws, they're good, because as long as you don't quit, they're instructive of what not to do, what paths not to go down.
Yeah.
So I think the psychology portion of the show is over. We're going deep here, but I want to talk a little bit about this book again, Giant Size, Two-Fish and Manly Tales. I will throw the link in the description. And can you fill us in on what's in this book, aside from the general of exciting manly
Yeah.
tales? Can you talk about any of the stories? Oh, that's a great
Absolutely. Well, I've got the book is going to be composed of 100 story pages of action and adventure and ass kicking. So there's 10-page stories. We have 5 writers. There's Chuck Dixon, Mike Barron, Bo Smith, working
Ooh,
with Tim Rozon,
right.
and me. So is that 5?
It
Let's
could
see.
be.
Chuck, Barron, Bo, me. I'm missing somebody. Oh, Kevin Grievous.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
Is number 5. So we're each going to do 2 stories, and then we have different artists. We don't have just 5 artists, but we'll have very different artists doing the stories. The first 5 are described on the page there. The first story and our teams. It's listed under
here
Team
it is.
Testosterone. There it is.
Let me see if I can increase the size on that at all. Yeah, so we've got.
You know what? I could put it on my screen and just read it if you want me to.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, let's see. Just give me a sec. I'll pull her up.
Oh, I made it full screen. That helped. But yes, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I'll do. Campaign. Internet's running a little slow. Here we go. Okay.
Right.
There we go. Okay, so the first one is a, and here's the other thing is I told the writing teams that there's no genre that's off limits.
Okay.
You can pick any genre you want. It just has to be has to focus on a man or men doing something, standing up for something, defending something, and kicking some ass. And that's it. So the first story is going to be a Viking story that Chuck has always wanted to do, a Viking story, and it's called Volsung, and it's going to be done by the great David Williams, who you are working on with your project.
Right. He showed me a page of Volsung already. He showed me, and I was like, "Oh, wow!"
So, well, that's nice. I haven't seen one yet.
It was it was a pencil layout. Don't worry, I didn't. I only published it on a few. I only posted it to a few websites. Don't worry.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So this is a tale. Iceland was a hard land settled by hard men, where even murder was forgiven if the proper price was paid in gold or goods. But a murder done without compensation must be paid for in blood. When men come seeking Einar, son to Hakon, he swears an oath to see them all in hell before he parts with a single coin. That's classic Chuck Dixon right there.
Right. Yeah.
I got Mike Barron and Butch Geis on the second story called Gurkha on a Train. And this is a true story of a soldier returning home whose peaceful ride is interrupted by a gang of thugs. You can look this up on the internet. It's a fascinating story.
Wasn't this about 10 years ago in France or something? Right?
No, you're thinking of when those 2 American soldiers were on that train in France. No, this is an Indian Gurkha warrior. And I'm not sure what year it took place. It was sometime modern times.
Sure.
But yeah, it's a great story. Bo Smith and Tim Rozon are paired with Andrew Paquette for True North, which when Bo pitched this to me, he had me in 2 sentences. He said, Bush pilot fighting communists. I'm like, okay, we're in. Run with that one.
Right.
So True North is a destination and a definition of one man's character and courage as he battles the elements, enraged wildlife, and communist land pirates in 1955 Alaskan territory.
Wow.
The next one is by me and teaming up with the great Michael Golden.
Right.
And it's called Crossing the Rubicon. And it's about a trucker who pulls into his favorite rest stop for a slice of pie and discovers it's been taken over by a biker gang.
I love that. It's like a man just wants peace. And these
people have to go around
starting trouble.
That's exactly right. And then he has to explain to these knuckleheads what crossing the Rubicon means.
Right, right.
Kevin Grievous and Roberto Castro Kevin's revisiting the character that he played and created for his Underworld series.
Right.
And this is called I Liken, and it's a horrifying tale where a werewolf private detective keeps things in check as he takes on supernatural cases in a city where monsters dwell in secret. So those are the first 5. There's actually a 6th one. I haven't put the blurb up yet, and that's gonna that's Chuck's second story, and it's going to be illustrated by the great Larry Stroman.
Oh,
And
Larry Stroman. I got
yeah,
to color a cover of his at Valiant, a Bloodshot cover. He was someone I loved as like a 13-year-old. That's awesome.
oh, Larry's great, and he's doing this. I asked him, well, what genre do you want? And he said sci-fi. So Chuck
Okay.
wrote this sci-fi horror tale that's really creepy and down and dirty, and that's what
Okay.
Larry's illustrating.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And we could go over some of these stretch goals here. Let me see. It looks like how do people get these how do they get these brass knuckles? How do you get this a trophy?
Well, that's the featured perk where you get the book and the trophy together.
Wow.
It's called the brass knuckles perk.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yes. And just in case you're worried about shipping and stuff, they're not brass. I mean, if it was real brass, first off, it would be very expensive, and then
Right.
it might be illegal to ship it to various states. But I have it right here. It's it's like it might be, it's either plastic or an aluminum, and it's bolted down into this thing. So yeah, this company, this is a trophy company, and they ship these things all over the world, so there shouldn't be a problem with any kind of shipping for that.
Very cool. Yeah, I think that's a great add-on there. It really, I think it sums it up nicely.
Yeah. Well, I when I was thinking of the design of the logo, I wanted the D to be represented by a pair of brass knuckles.
Sure.
And so I thought, oh, this would be a great perk if I could figure out a way to manufacture it, and I did. And so far, it's been pretty popular. We got 33 out of 100 sold already.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now, okay, so you have the one cover. Is there a stretch cover, or because I thought I saw another cover? Is this just promotional art, or is this another cover here?
No, that's the bookmark.
Oh, okay.
That's the stretch goal bookmark that everybody's getting.
Okay.
We've already hit that, and then we've already hit the man card. So you'll have
that's fun, a man card.
Yeah, it's your official man card, and look what it says. It says
Let me make this bigger.
Here. The undersigned, because there's that line there, you can sign the card. The undersigned agrees to do the right thing at all times, protect women and children, stand up and be counted, and kick ass when necessary.
Hail. I love it. That's fantastic.
So if you're ever confronted and somebody says, show me your man card, you just dig into that wallet and bam.
Whip it out.
Whip it out.
That is awesome. That is awesome. This looks like a ton of fun, this book, guys. So again, the link to this is in the description, and I think Hervoyer, our mod, has thrown it into the chat. If not, I will throw it into the chat again. So what else do you want to say about this book? Because I love this project. I believe I already backed it, and if I didn't, I'll back it right after the show. But I thought I already backed it, but I've been busy as hell lately. But what else do you want to say about this? I mean, I'm in love with the concept. I think it's really fun.
Well, that's it. It's about fun, and yes, it started off as a reaction, a reactionary thing to what was happening. But as with every project I approach, the first matter of business is entertainment and fun, because that's what comics are to me. If it's too serious, then and you start turning it into a polemic, then who needs that? We got enough of that in this world. So first and foremost, these are going to be fun tales of asking and guys doing stuff. It's 10 pages each, so it's get in, get out. There's no fluff, there's no filler. There's strong plots, and they're action driven. So I think everybody's going to love them.
Yeah, I think this is an important question here from TC. Graham, I was thinking about getting a copy for my 12-year-old nephew. Is it all right for that age?
Well, there is some language in here, TC. I told the writers that this book is rated R.
Oh,
So there's no sex in it, and so far there's no nudity either. But there is some language. There's some f-bombs, and there certainly is some violence, blood and stuff like that. So you know, it depends on your 12-year-old. Maybe
yeah.
you know, figure it out. For how he is. Because 12-year-olds are a little bit more advanced than they used to be.
Right. What is that, about a seventh grader? Something like that, right?
6th grade, I think.
Yeah, sixth,
Yeah,
seventh grade, something like that,
yeah,
depending. I could have handled, I was watching Van Damme and I was watching Predator when I was that old.
right.
There's some gore in that. So, like Graham is right. It depends on your 12-year-old. Your mileage will
Yeah,
vary. David Brohawk Williams,
I've
he
heard
of
that
the
name.
illustrating your Viking story here.
Yeah.
Volsung says, tell Graham to check his email. Check your email, Graham.
Oh. So what he's saying is that he heard. Oh, there he goes. There's my page. Yeah, it looks all right. No. No, that looks awesome, Dave. Yeah,
Oh, that's funny.
that looks great. Well done,
wow.
sir. Well done.
Yes. TC says, thanks, and already backed for my copy.
Oh,
So,
great.
yeah.
Thank you, TC.
Yeah. So if you consider backing this, we would love that. We would really appreciate it. So
Yeah. The
absolutely.
idea is we want to get this thing. First off, you have to understand when you're crowdfunding, you'll see a number like 60 something thousand. You think, oh, that's a lot of money. But when you're doing it all yourself, you can forego a lot of stuff. And that's a pretty good take for a crowdfunded book. But when you have to pay, 5 writers and 10 artists and
Right.
letters and colorists, and then, a good 10% of that cost is your shipping costs as well. 60,000 won't even cover those costs.
Right.
So the idea is we want to get this thing up to 150,000 because at that point, the stretch goal, this book becomes a hardcover, and now you have a bookshelf book. And once we get up to those numbers too, I can give bonuses to my teams to raise their levels, raise their rates to commensurate levels with their skills, because these guys are all A-list guys, and they need to be paid well for their knowledge and their professionalism and all that kind of stuff. So that's my hope.
All right.
Is that we can get this thing up there past 150, so everybody gets it as a hardcover, and then I can pay these guys bonuses.
Yeah, we're still what one are we at? So we unlocked the man card, but we still have the sticker locked up. And then let's see, at 100,000 there's a trading card.
Right.
At 125, manly mini print, and
Right.
then at 150 we upgrade to a hardcover. Yeah, it will be nice to put that on the shelf, and then it can be there for generations of young boys to stumble upon too.
That's right.
And after they read it, they'll have a 5 o'clock shadow, even if they're just a 5th grader.
It's not a promise. It's not a guarantee, but it has been known to happen. So yes. I'm just saying.
Yes. Do you remember the first time you realized that you liked women? Because I know where I was standing when it happened. I know who I saw and where I was standing. Do you remember?
I don't.
Oh, I was standing in my grandma's bedroom, and the TV was on, and Carrie Fisher was on promoting something with Star Wars in the white slinky dress. And I was like, I was 7 and I couldn't stand it. And I didn't know what this feeling was, but I was just like, heart eyes. Like so thank you, Carrie Fisher. So she changed things for me at 7. And it didn't help that Mrs. Stinson, my 2nd grade teacher, who was my teacher at the time, looked just like her.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was that stereotypical little boy who was in love with his 2nd grade teacher.
Wow.
So
yeah, I never had any hot teachers. So
really? Oh, we had Miss Ripsco in 8th grade, biology teacher. Oh man, she knew what she was doing. Let me see. We got a nice comment here from Nim, I think Productions. I read Alien Alamo and really loved it, not wanting to deviate the attention to the current campaign, but will there be a part 2 of Alien Alamo?
No, there will not be. I'm not doing sequels. in my books. But here's the thing: they all interconnect. So as you know, when you got to the end of Alien Alamo, it takes place in modern times, and so that character is going to appear in the next book, and a character from the Chenoo is going to appear in the next book, and then I'm introducing 2 new characters in the next book that will go off into their own book after that. So all this stuff is interconnected. If I do a sequel, which I said I'm not going to, but if I do,
Okay.
it will be for the Chenoo, because there's been a lot of demand, I should say, for that. You know, people want more Chenoo. So that would be one I might consider doing something with again. But again, you know, I got a lot of ideas going forward, moving this universe together. So I want to, you know, stick to that. But I'm flexible. That's the fun part about creating all your own stuff, is that you don't have to lock down. You know, you can play with it.
Right. And if you haven't checked out the Chenoo or Alien Alamo and you're interested in giant size, two-fisted manly tails, there's this great perk right here. Let me make this bigger. This one, the Ball Buster perk, that has the Chenoo, Alien Alamo, and giant size, and probably some other stuff. If I click on it, let's see. Yeah, you can click on there and read the description. I don't want to misrepresent anything. But yeah, if you haven't checked out the Chenoo, which I haven't, because I got away from social media for like a year. I deleted Twitter, quit looking at YouTube, Instagram, Facebook for about a year. Right around election time last year, I was just so sick of everything. So I kind of got out of Comicsgate and everything and what was going on. So I didn't really, I didn't really know to buy that one, because I just wasn't paying attention to anything. I was so sick of the internet and social media. I just didn't want to deal with it. So I missed out on Chenoo. So I think I might have to get the Ball Buster pack if I don't have it. But I think the design on the Chenoo it's deceptively simple. It looks like a very simple design, but for some reason it's horrifying. I don't know how you pulled that off, but congratulations.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's that was something that I wanted to tell. I like claustrophobic horror. You know, like when you watch Alien and you're stuck on a spaceship and there's no way out, nowhere to go. Those type of stories always terrified me. And so the Chenoo is a tale of claustrophobic terror as people are stuck in a blizzard inside a house and the creature is outside hunting them.
Oh, terrible. Terrible. Yeah. Oh, awesome. Andrew Wilson pledged, Graham, giant size. That's a thank you. Oh, and I will pledge Babe, Truth, Justice, and American Way for me and David Williams and the great Carrie Martin is our inker on that. Nice. So thank you very much, Andrew Wilson. Make sure you're on the mailing list for Truth, Justice, American Way, because you get to see stuff before other people. That trailer I showed at the beginning of today's show, that was only for people on my email list for most of the day yesterday. Then I released it at night. So I'll be showing little snippets of artwork, and you get a trading card you can't get anywhere else if you're on the mailing list and you're back.
Nice.
So yeah. Oh, here's one that's that monster in the house kind of thing you're talking about. Event Horizon. Have you seen that?
I have. It's been a long time, but that was a really trippy horror sci-fi movie.
And not to us, I won't spoil it for those of you out there. If you can stand horror and you're grown up enough to watch scary, dark stuff, this is good if you like scary stuff, because it's nasty.
Yeah. In fact, the sci-fi story that Chuck wrote for Larry reminded me of Event Horizon. That feel to it, horror sci-fi, not just sci-fi, but horror sci-fi. Yeah, creepy shit. That's what it reminded me of. So it's funny he posted that.
Yeah, it's Event Horizon has a little bit of Hellraiser in it. You know what I mean? A little Lovecraftian, a little other dimension.
Yeah, Lovecraft.
It's nasty. Brohawk says Alien Alamo should be a movie.
I agree.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I think so. I thought it was great. I was very impressed.
Now, when you read it, did you happen to look at the iPad in the last panel and read the stuff that's in there?
I'm gonna say yes, but I'm not recalling it.
Because there's all kinds of little Easter eggs in that thing that nobody has commented on. So I'm thinking people didn't read what was on the iPad. Little fun things
out here. quickly thumb to the back to see just what it is. It won't take too long because I know this isn't good radio for me to be flipping through a book here. Oh yeah, okay, I do remember that. I do remember that. And I thought that was a neat little thing to throw in there. Yes, you're connecting things. I won't say anything else.
Oh no, there's more than that. There's on the left-hand side there's little news blurbs because it's a mock NASA
Right.
site. And one of the news blurbs is floating island dispelled by NASA, which refers to my monster island. The one underneath that is Dr. Richards and crew return from test flight. That's the Fantastic Four.
Right. I just thought that. Okay, that I didn't see. The main headline, which I won't say because I don't know if it spoils anything.
Yeah.
The main headline, I saw that. I didn't see that little light blue thing there about Dr. Richards and friends.
Yeah.
Return safely after test launch. Brilliant.
Yeah. And then in the main body there, where they're kind of talking about these meteor storms that are happening in today, not 1957,
Right.
The scientist that's referred to is Dr. Carrington. And Dr. Carrington was the scientist in my favorite sci-fi movie of all time, The Thing from Another World.
Okay.
Which is about an alien invasion. So there's little goodies like that I love to put into things.
And I think in the culture war, we're trying to bring back masculinity and traditionalism, not because we're just that way and it's what we prefer, but let me speak for you here. I think we appreciate what it's done for our lives. And we can see the big picture of like, yes, all the sacrifice and all of that, it gave me this amazing world with clean running water, electricity, and just all the convenience we have. So we need to preserve it. So I think the way we win the culture war, and David Williams really lectured me on this a lot, and I agree with him. Instead of spitting blood and screaming and feminists are fat and stupid and SJW this being our focus of our emotional, let's talk about what we love, why it's precious, why it should be preserved, and show it to people. And they'll agree with us because they'll see demonstrated that that's correct. I think that's a big step. The conservatives, the more traditional-minded people, we abandoned art for the last 30, 40 years. We abandoned music. We abandoned TV. We called it evil and dirty. So it's no wonder that the far, 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 far left took it over because we left, for the most part, culturally.
Well, I don't know if I would agree with that statement entirely because the left has always had a hold in the arts.
Yes.
Because it's a certain kind of thinking. And that's fine. But there used to be a coming together of minds, in whether it be music or fine art or there was an acceptance of different ideas and different opinions. But now it's so fractured that you have to pick a side. And yes, I agree with you, Gabe, that we need to celebrate the stuff we love. We need to radiate positivity, because, nobody wants to hear somebody bitch and moan all the time. But as I'm trying to do in these stories of men stepping up to the plate, sometimes you have to get your knuckles dusted. Sometimes you have to stand up for something, and it may not be the popular thing, but it's the right thing. And whether that be, standing your ground on a position or actually, throwing down on something, those are things that you should, we want to teach young men to be able to do and to be able to discern when to draw the line, when to back off, when to say, hey, I don't want to get into a fight, blah, blah, blah. And when it's important enough to do it, those are the things.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. You need to fight when it's righteous.
Right.
I think when a man is out of control and you're just screaming at your enemies and getting into trivial nonsense Twitter battles, I think then you're not being masculine. Then you're letting your emotions rule you. But for instance, myself, I think about my grandfather. He always told me, you do the right thing because it's right. Not because you want to, not because it's fun, not because it's easy. You do it because it's right. So when I tell DC Comics to shove off, now I'm not going to help them make this commie crap and tell kids that they're garbage because they're white, or tell kids they're idiots because they love their country or whatever. I'm not doing that. I think, yes, it's right to fight then because you're being attacked, you and your culture. But yeah, to be out of control and just like screaming at them, okay, well, what is that going to solve?
Well, that's what they do. and you see what that does. They get on there with their little keyboard warrior stuff, and they get on their screeds and they call us terrible things, and
Right.
and what does that do? Well, it causes a reaction. It causes us to go off in a different direction, point out their failures, and prove it with our successes.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
that's not a winning strategy.
Absolutely. You're totally right. I love this. One of the greatest movie quotes of all time from a favorite movie of mine. I've come here to chew bubble gum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubble gum. Do you like They Live? Have you seen They Live?
Oh, I saw it at the theaters when it came out.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that has I think, one of the most fun fight scenes ever. 8 minutes. 8 minutes, that fight scene in the alley.
It's the longest fight screen in a movie, and it beat out The Quiet Man. John Wayne's 1952 film had the longest fight scene in a film up until then.
Right. And I like how Roddy Piper, John Nada, he even fits in like a suplex and some pro wrestling moves.
Yeah, he gets the wrestling moves in there.
Yeah, and it looks like they're really having fun, because at one point, what's his name? The character he's fighting, I don't remember the character's name, but he swings a 2x4 at him and hits the car window behind him, and you see Roddy Piper start laughing, like they're just having so much fun goofing around in the alley. Right. He kind of breaks his character for a second there.
Yeah.
So
it's a great premise, that film. The glass is exposing something that nobody can see. I've always loved that type of shtick, where somebody can see something for what it is and nobody else can, and then it's the question of getting believed.
Right.
I've always liked that kind of plot.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of Noah's Ark in it, where Noah's telling everyone the flood is coming. The flood is coming. They're like, okay, crazy old man, build your boat, whatever. And then they all drown. It's got a bit of that, where he's trying to convince people about these aliens that no one can see. And I don't know. Go check it out. They Live. I'm sure it's on Amazon Prime. You can rent it for $2-3 or whatever. I have it on DVD because I'm fancy like that. So
it's a very anti. Carpenter's an iconoclastic 60s hippie who was very much against Ronald Reagan and his administration, and that film came out during that time, and it was very anti-Reagan in its underlying messages. But if you can get past that, it's fun.
Right. Yeah, if you've ever seen this stuff here with these creepy looking people that say obey and all that, that's the movie we're referencing. And it's got and he gets these glasses that when you put them on, you could see all the propaganda everywhere. Instead of saying Doritos, the billboard actually says consume, and stuff like that. And
it comes from the subliminal messaging that they tried to experiment with in films and stuff back in, I think it's the 50s or 60s, where they would show a frame, I forget how many frames per second run. And then there would just be this frame that would come in. It would come so fast you couldn't see it, but your subliminal consciousness would, that was the thought process. It would register it. It would start making you think, gee, I'm thirsty for a Coke.
Yeah,
because
refreshing Coke and some salty, buttery popcorn sounds perfect.
Right. Yeah, that kind of stuff. That's where it came
check
from.
out They Live. It's a classic, and it's very relevant for our times with fake news and propaganda.
Yes. And it's masculine because it's got Roddy in there, and
Keith David. That's his name, Keith David. He of the amazing baritone voice on Keith David. You know what I mean? Yeah. He played a great villain in Requiem for a Dream, which is a disturbing movie, but he's a great villain in that. So
cool.
So okay, well, we've gone almost an hour. What else can we say, Graham?
We can say get your man card and your credit card out and go back this book.
please do. Graham is he's an inspiration. He's a great role model for artists and just men out there. And again, this is how we win the culture war, guys. And the culture war is important. Our dads, our grandpas, great grandpas, all the men going back, they fought, died, and suffered for us. And we got to honor them by building the tomorrow for our descendants. They built it for us, and we didn't pay them.
Yeah.
So we got to keep it going. So I think this is a concept that is near and dear to me. And I think it's a fantastic book with a stellar lineup. So please check it out.
The most important thing is it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Right. Right.
And just even the marketing for this thing, I'm having so much fun. I'm taking like badass actors, you know, like
Those are
Clint Eastwood,
brilliant.
John Wayne or something, and I've got them holding this book. You know, I got a really good one coming up tomorrow. It's going to be
Yeah,
hysterical.
those have been fun that you've been drawing. Was that your concept, or did someone give that
Actually,
to
you
you?
know, Chuck did the first one. He sent me the Bronson one. I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. I got to start putting. And he's been doing them.
Okay.
Brian Blevins started doing some, and I'm doing some, and we're just cross pollinating with it. So,
Okay.
if any of you guys out there want to hop on that bandwagon and take some kind of, you know, I did Teddy Roosevelt, I've done
Nice.
John Wayne, I've done all these different guys that are very masculine people. If you've got somebody that you think falls into that, you know, Photoshop in the book to them and have some fun with it. It's a lot of fun.
That's hilarious. Okay, well, I want to thank everyone for joining us. Please, if you can't back it right now, at least share the link. That would be wonderful. I would be very
Much
grateful.
appreciated, my friends. Much appreciated.
Yes, and I'm going to be on Charlie's London's channel in a little bit here. Where else can people see you, Graham? Where would you like people to check you out?
Tonight I'm on my usual professional show. It'll be on Dan Fraga's channel.
Oh,
Monday it's the Comicsgate Kings, and Wednesdays is the Storytellers. That's where I interview artists and writers about their careers and their approaches to visual storytelling.
okay, very cool. Well, the links are in the description, guys. Thank you for joining us, and we will talk to you later. All right,
Bye,
bye.
everybody. Have a great one.